Good day, fellow investors and non-investors alike. PK Investing here, and today's video is the 100 subscriber Q&A. Before we get started, I want to thank you all for watching and subscribing. It really means a lot. Now, without further ado, let's get into some questions. Alright, the first question comes from Stock Ninja. Stock Ninja is a fellow YouTuber, so go check him out. He says, if you can't buy J&J for whatever reason, what would your number 1 and number 2 stocks be in the healthcare sector? That's a good question. Anyone who knows me knows that my ride or die, my number 1, my cream of the crop company is Johnson & Johnson. I also own 2 other healthcare stocks, AbbVie and Pfizer, but that would be too easy. I suppose if I had to pick 2 brand new alternatives, I would choose Abbott Laboratories and Cardinal Health. Both Abbott and Cardinal are dividend aristocrats, so you know they've got a solid history. And Abbott actually spun off AbbVie in 2013, so the companies are like stock cousins. Alright, next question comes from GW Life TV, another fellow YouTuber who is the go-to for all things ETF, so go check him out too. GW asks, Pierre, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Well, I hope in 10 years I can still see myself in a mirror, but all jokes aside, this is a great question. I've never really been one to sit down and really think about the fine details of my future. I've always been someone who sets various goals that have the potential to result in personal improvement, whether that be financial improvement, intellectual improvement, or even physical improvement. And I usually let myself naturally go where those goals take me. But if I really had to think about it, in 10 years, I'd like to see myself completely graduated, working a job in my field, and hopefully settled down and married. And I'd like to have achieved a PSR of 1.0 for my J&J stock position. Alright, moving along is Frank. And Frank wants to know if Tesla is my favorite growth stock, and if I've invested in any others. The answers are yes and no. I really like Tesla. I think it's a company with a very sound vision and an excellent CEO at the helm. I believe the company will only continue to succeed and grow, and that's why I like it so much. In terms of other growth stocks, I'm not much of a growth investor. My entire portfolio is built around the strategy of dividend growth, and dividend growth is what I really know and understand the most. Being someone with limited capital for investing, it makes sense that I focus on what I know. With that being said, I think everyone should invest in at least a little growth. I myself would like to invest in some other growth companies in the future. I really like Google and Amazon, so those 2 would be next on my list for sure. Next up, we have the same question from Gen X Dividend Investor and Growing Financially. Both wanted to know whether I plan to increase my dollar a day to some other amount. That's a question a lot of people have been asking lately. I think once I reach a certain milestone, I'll bump it up to some higher amount, maybe $5. But that leads to the question of when do I decide to bump it up? And that's a question I haven't really thought about. One good spot might be once I reach a full share of Tesla, but that's probably going to take years. I could probably set my sights a little lower, maybe at around half a share, but we'll see. Alright, moving on, we arrive to Easy Wealth Building. Easy Wealth Building asks, how many fractions of a share of Tesla do you own now? Well, as of the recording of this video, I own exactly 0.049555 shares, so close to 0.05 shares. Next question comes from Ed. Ed wants to know that if I could have a superpower or own more J&J, which would I choose? Excellent question, Ed. Obviously, I'd like to have a superpower, maybe super strength, that way I could show off at the gym. Being able to fly would also be really cool. Honestly, any mainstream superpower would be awesome. Until the government hunts you down, captures you, and tries to find out what makes you superpowered. Hey, does being able to generate shares of Johnson & Johnson count as a superpower? You know, 2 birds, 1 stone, am I right? Alright, next up we've got Mindleaves. And Mindleaves says, do you think now's a good time to exit the Tesla market? I'm up 320% on stocks. First off, being up 320% is incredible, so great job. Quadrupling the value of any investment is never a bad thing. But to answer your question, there are a few things to consider. How badly do you need the money? How do you think the stock price will trend in a month, a year, or even a decade? How much of your investing portfolio does Tesla take up? With that being said, I don't think it's necessarily terrible to skim some profits off the top, especially if we're talking about a company like Tesla. Tesla's hype and volatility make its short-term future prices unpredictable, so securing a little profit might be a good idea. However, I like to look at things ultra long-term, like a minimum of 20 years out, and I think Tesla still has a long ways to go. If I was up over 300% on Tesla right now, I'd probably still leave the money untouched just because I believe that the 300 might end up becoming 400 or even 500% way later on down the line. Alright, last question today comes from Fliz Finance. He wanted to know what I think will happen to Tesla stock after 2020. Honestly, I'm not sure. With the way things are trending, Tesla might break 2,000 sooner than we think. For the longest time, I thought it would break 1,500 sometime during the fall of 2020, but as we all saw, that happened very quickly. Something negative could also happen to the company, like maybe it turns out that their batteries explode when coming into contact with bananas. Tesla's stock price has a lot of hype built into it, obviously. So whenever something happens, the stock price reacts very dramatically. With that being said, as an official answer, I think Tesla will break 2,000 sometime shortly after 2020 is over. Hey, that's all the questions for today. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel and leaving all your questions in the comment section. I really appreciate it. Next week's video is going to be my $50 milestone episode for my $1 a day challenge, so stay tuned to see how those invested dollars are doing. Take care, and I hope to speak with you again soon. I am not a financial advisor. Investing always involves risk. This video was created for entertainment purposes only.